Yes. See, is this the law? Here we go. No, that's not what I want. That is not what I want. Let's go again. Okay, the laws of Elul. We say Hatarat Nadarim. Erev Rosh Hashanah. You'll wake up early in the morning. This is going to be Friday morning. Rosh Hashanah is on Shabbos. Friday morning, and you say Hatarat Nadarim. That permits all of your, I advise you to say it in English if you don't understand Hebrew. But essentially what you say is, I hereby annul all vows that I made in the previous year. And here you say, I hereby annul all vows that I am going to make in the coming year. So let me just translate this very loosely for you. Meanwhile, there's supposed to be 10 people sitting in front of you, 10 people that they make judges, and they say, we permit you, we permit you, we permit you, we release you from your vows, we release you. We say, listen, rabbis, this is not exactly the nusach of Chabad, but this is generally it. I am requesting that you should, no, this is not at all the Chabad. You should release me from all vows and release all curses that came from not keeping the vows the past year. And they say, Mutarin lach. There is no vows, and there's no oaths, and there's no decrees, and there's no this. You don't have to worry about it. Everything is negated. You're now a free person. The nusach is a lot longer in Chabad. I just brought this down. I thought this was Chabad, and it's not. That you say Hatarat Nadarim. When do you say this? In the morning, Friday morning, after you finish davening. After you finish davening. And now we are going to go to, is this it? No, yeah, we did that I don't want. Okay. See, 1 second. Oh, here we are. Okay? So it says, Noagim, the custom is to make Hatarat Nadorim, to make this thing called Hatarat Nadorim, the release from vows. We make it the day right before Rosh Hashanah. It says, Lo Yechal Davarav, okay, Elul. Lo Yechal Davarav Kachal. That's a person who doesn't understand what he's saying, he should say in Hebrew or Yiddish or some language that he understands. It's very important. You should understand what you say when you say Hatarat Nadorim in the morning. Here we have chapter Mosh Chodesh Elul. Let's go back here. Maybe we'll see if it will work. Yes. Yes. Good. Thank God. Here we go. Laws of Rosh Hashanah. All right. Now we're going into the month of Tishrei. When we go into the month of Tishrei, there are certain changes we make in the prayers from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur. Of course, Rosh Hashanah is very different, but basically the first 3 prayers and the last 3 prayers of the Shemona Esrei are the same in all of our prayers, basically. In Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur also, they add on a few additions over there, words, but the basic prayers are still the same. In all of, when you say Kaddish, Yiskadol Vizkadash, from Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we say Le'ela U'Le'ela. In Chabad, we don't do that. In Chabad, the only time we double up Le'ela, we say it twice, right? Yiskadol Vizkadash, Le'ela Mikol Berchosa V'Shirosa. Le'ela, we say Le'ela once. Only on Ne'ilah, the last prayer of Yom Kippur, do we say it twice. But everyone else says only once. We do it according to Kabbalah. Namely, we say Le'ela Mikol Berchosa V'Shirosa. Okay. Some people have a custom on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and all the prayers of Shemona Esrei, they say the prayers B'Kriya, bent over. ukafifat Rosh, to show that we're humble on Rosh Hashanah. We're standing in front of the king. Says the Baal Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Shlomo Gansfried, Amnam Kaven, since that it's necessary to bow down in the blessings, Modim and Achtulach, and Mogen Abraham, we say Mogen Abraham, the Modim, in the beginning and the end. Therefore, if you're one of these people you want to bend over, and this is definitely not a custom in Chabad, but if you decide you want to be bent over, the whole prayer is to show your humility. Well, before you reach the blessings where you're supposed to bow down on, right? In the beginning of the first blessing, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu, the first blessing of Shemona Esrei, and the end of the first blessing of Shemona Esrei, Mogen Avram, and also when you say Modim Anachnu Lach, when we bow down in the beginning and also in the end. So you should straighten up before you reach these places that you have to bow down, because it won't be noticeable that you're bowing down. Before you reach these places, you should straighten up in order to bend down, like our rabbis say when you say these blessings. Also, it's forbidden to bend down in a blessing where the rabbis did not say. So in other words, it's better, you should just be straight all the time. Normal, but your heart should be bent. Interestingly enough, the Arizal says that in the 10 days of tshuva, in other words, beginning from Rosh Hashanah to the end of Yom Kippur, if a person does not at least once spontaneously break into tears, there's something wrong with his soul. We're not talking about that he makes himself cry and he fakes it and he whatever it is, he shtups himself and is gamachta veinen, like it says, that he makes himself. We're talking about that a person spontaneously, just on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, something happens in his soul and he starts to cry. And it happens. It happens. I mean, usually it's when you think about what's going on. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, who am I? What am I doing? What am I, what was I created for? How am I alive? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Like the famous story about the Alter Rebbe when he was in prison. So there came in this minister of some sort of a big tsar. What is it? One of the ministerial position in the army and in the government came in, and he started asking him questions about the Torah. And he asked the Alter Rebbe, what does it mean that God said to Adam, after Adam ate from the tree, where are you? Ayeka. But God doesn't know where Adam was. And the Alter Rebbe said back to him, Adam is talking about every person, even you. And God is asking everybody, even you, where are you? So you, for instance, and he said his exact age, you're 55 years old, however old he was. What have you done with your life? And this minister, right, the minister of education, I don't know what he was, he heard this and he was like shaken. To his very, and the Alter Rebbe said that because of that, he saved his own life, Alter Rebbe, because he was ready to give his life for Hashem. And when he said, where are you? He realized, where am I? How could I consider giving my life, be happy to give my life for Hashem? I'll do whatever God wants. God wants me to give my life, I'll give my life. Maybe God wants me to stay here in the world, which that's exactly what God wanted. So it said they saved it. Where am I? Anyway, you should spontaneously cry. And of course, it's not a thing you can tell a person to do, but it should happen. Don't be surprised if it happens. And that which people have a custom that you hear, you hear God saying, where are you? That which we have a custom that some people pray in a loud voice on Rosh Hashanah, don't do it. Really, you should pray quietly like the whole rest of the year. Some people say that you can lift up your voice a little tiny bit. First of all, you should know, my friends, that when you pray Shemona Esrei in the middle of the year, right, you're praying Mincha, whatever, you're supposed to pray loud enough that you can hear yourself. You're not supposed to pray in your thoughts. When you pray Shemona Esrei, you're supposed to say the words, but it's supposed to be so quiet that no one else can hear you. You don't disturb the person even if he's standing right next to you. It's possible to do. Talk to yourself very quietly. On Rosh Hashanah, some say that you can lift your voice up a little bit. Okay, a little bit, but not not loud enough so that you disturb the person next to you. You should be careful. You have to be very careful with your prayers. Just 1 second, please. Someone is calling me up. Hello, Gil, Kane. Careful when you're praying not to pronounce the words properly. And you should be careful to look for a siddur or a machzor that is meduyach. This we don't have to worry about, because in Chabad, the siddur and the machzor were very, very, it used to be that there was like 15, 20 different siddurs. They say that the Alter Rebbe, when he wrote his siddur, he took 60 different versions, because it used to be that people used to have printing houses. Usually the people who had printing houses were, they knew how to read, and they were expert at books. They loved books. And sometimes they would stick in their own ideas or their own little prayers, or they heard a good prayer from someone else, they would stick it in. Seriously. So as a result, there came out all these different versions, and a lot of them deviated very seriously from like what it says in the Shas, and what it says in the Rambam, and what it says in the Arizal. The Alter Rebbe took 60 different siddurs, put them all together, and he tried to get back to what the original was, but all the time as much as possible, according to the Arizal, according to Kabbalah. That's why it's called Nusach Ari. In any case, the siddur of Chabad is very reliable, but whatever your rabbi tells you, if you're rabbi from a Sephardic siddur or whatever it is, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's probably been checked. And the whole year we say in our prayers, Hakel HaKadosh, right? The third prayer in Shemon Esrei. Well, from the 10 days of Tshuva, we don't say Hakel HaKadosh. We say Melech HaKadosh. We'll talk about this. Another thing we say the whole year is, in the blessing about Hoshiva Shoftein Kavrishona, return the judges like in the beginning, we say Melech Ohev Tzedakah Mishpat. Baruch Atah Hashem, Melech Ohev Tzedakah Mishpat. You are a king that loves charity and justice. But from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur, we don't say that. We say Baruch Atah Hashem, a Melech HaKadosh, and instead of saying Melech Ohev Tzedakah Mishpat, we say a Melech HaMishpat, because it's a judgment. Why? Because these days, God shows his kingship, a Melech HaKadosh, and he judges the whole world, Melech HaMishpat. What about if you make a mistake? I mean, the whole year you've been saying Hakel HaKadosh, you've been saying Melech Ohev Tzedakah Mishpat. What if you make a mistake? And you say, like you do the whole rest of the year, Ata Kadeshim Kadesh Kadeshim Chal Yochasela, Baruch Atah Hashem, Hakel HaKadosh. Oops, made a mistake. Or you say, Baruch Atah Hashem, Hakel HaKadosh, or Melech HaKadosh. I'm sorry. Yes. You say Hakel HaKadosh. Or he has a doubt. I'm sorry, a person has a doubt. He doesn't know. Did I say Hakel HaKadosh or did I say Melech HaKadosh? I don't remember. A lot of times you pray and you're not really thinking about what you're saying. If you remember Toch Kadei Dibor, if you finished the third prayer where you say Hakel HaKadosh and you don't remember if you said a Melech HaKadosh like you were supposed to, and you remembered in the time when it takes to say Shalom Aleichem Rebbe, or Shalom Aleichem Rebbe, or more, in other words, within 3 seconds. If you remember within 3 seconds, then you can go back and say a Melech HaKadosh. You don't have to go back to the beginning. And so it is also a Melech HaMishpat. But if you don't remember until after 3 seconds, then if you said Baruch Atah Hashem Hakel HaKadosh, and you forgot to say a Melech HaKadosh, then you have to go back to the beginning of davening. You have to start over again, right? Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu, from the beginning, from the first blessing, even if you have a doubt. Why? Because the first three blessings are considered to be one big blessing. Like it says in the laws of blessings in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So it is the third blessing that we say, which is the same on Shabbos and Yom Tov and the weekdays, right? Same as Mincha and Musaf. The third blessing, we always say, Ata Kadosh Shemcha Kadosh Kadeshim B'chol Yom L'Chasal Baruch Atah Hashem Akel HaKadosh. We always say Akel HaKadosh. Well, these 10 days you're supposed to say Amelech HaKadosh. And if you don't say Amelech HaKadosh, or even if you have a doubt, and you began this doubt more than 3 seconds after you finish the blessing, you have to go back to the beginning of davening. Even the Shliach Tzibur, when he's repeating his prayers, and he doesn't say, he says, Baruch Atah Hashem, Hakel HaKadosh. And 3 seconds passed, and the whole crowd starts yelling out, hey, HaMelech HaKadosh, hey, Melech HaKadosh. Usually people get tremendous pleasure from correcting the Shliach Tzibur. Hey, HaMelech HaKadosh. So what are you supposed to do? You have to go back to the beginning. And you have to go back to the beginning and say it again. Ata Kadosh Shema Kadosh. By the way, this also comes after Kedusha. You have to do the whole thing again. But that's talking about if you make the mistake in the third blessing. But if you make the mistake when you say Melech HaMishpat, which Melech HaMishpat is, which blessing is that? Let's just have a look over here. Forgot. Here. Let's see. Rafa'enu is the 8th blessing. 8, 9, 10, 11, 11. The 11th blessing. If in the 11th blessing you make a mistake and you don't say HaMelech HaMishpat, but you say Melech Ohev Tzedakah Mishpat, even if you're alone, you don't have to go back to the beginning. In fact, you don't even really have to repeat that blessing. Why? Because you said Melech, that's good enough. Because that's the whole point of the 10 days of Tshuva. But in the Siddur of Chabad, it says it's a good idea to go back and pray Tefillas Nedava. If you forgot, you should go back and pray again. Here, let's see. Yeah, it's good, but you don't have to. You don't have to. The whole year, if you make a mistake and you say Melech HaKadosh, Melech HaMishpat, then you don't have to go back. If you the rest of the year, if you say the rest of the year, you pray in this third blessing and in the 11th blessing, you make a mistake and you say like you're supposed to say in the 10 days of Tshuva, then you don't have to go back. It's okay. All right, let's skip over this, and maybe we can remember to do it next week when it's closer to Rosh Hashanah, so that we'll remember. These are the different little things that we say in the Shmona Esrei. There's also these additions where we say. Here, for instance, on Shabbos, after we finish davening, on Shabbos, so they say in the end, right? In the end, they say a prayer, a long prayer, which is something like the prayer of Shabbos. Something like the prayer of Shabbos. What do we say? Here we say, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu v'Elok Avosenu, Eloki Abraham, Eloki Yitzchak, Eloki Ayel Gadol Gibor Vanera Elyon Kene Shamayim Voice Magena Voice Bidvoroi Mechayim Esim B'Mamoroi Ha'el Kadosh. So when it says Akel HaKadosh, you're supposed to say Amelech HaKadosh. Amelech HaKadosh She'en Kamohu. Say Amelech. If you make a mistake, you say Akel HaKadosh. If you can return immediately, good. If not, don't worry about it. You don't have to go back. If you forgot, Zachrenu L'chaim, Melech HaTzfetz L'chaim, these things are added on in the Shmona Esrei. These are additions on the Shmona Esrei. Maybe next time, God willing, we'll learn tomorrow, and we'll bring down a picture. I'll show you a picture of a siddur, and we'll look and you'll see the siddur. There's additions, there's paragraphs, 2 paragraphs that you say. You say, Zachreinu l'chaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, kasveinu b'chaim, sefer ha'chaim, l'mancha, elokim chaim. Then you say, mi kamocha b'kelim Hashem. Here, I'm sorry. Mi kamocha abba rachamon zocher chaim, zocher yitzur of l'chaim rachamim. These are additions that you make on the first 2 blessings of the Shmona Esrei. On the first 2 blessings of Shmona Esrei, you add on 2 sentences. This you add on Zachreinu. Zachreinu lechaim melech hafetz b'chaim. You add this every prayer of that you pray on the 10 days of tshuva. And also on the second blessing, we talk about the raising of the dead. Mi kamocha ba'ava rachaman zocher yitzur. We also, and also it says, Zachreinu l'sefer ha'chaim. This we say in the end of the Shmona Esrei. Every Shmona Esrei in the Keil HaKadosh. All of these, if you forgot to say it, then you don't have to go back again. You don't have to go back. So there are additions, an additional sentence, couple sentences that we say in the first blessing of Shmona Esrei. Every Shmona Esrei in the 10 days of Tshuva, Shachris, Mincha, Maariv. The first blessing about a Magin Avram, the second blessing that God raises the dead, and the last blessing that God about peace. There's sentences that we add in. If you don't say those sentences, it's okay. Also, we say Ose Ha Shalom Mimromav. Some people don't say it until the end of. We say it in all the Kadeshim. We say, and also in the end of Shmona Esrei we say, everyone Ose Ha Shalom Mimromav. If Rosh Hashanah falls to Yot b'Shabbat, and that's like this year, some places that they say Lechun Ranana, just like the other Shabbat. There are some places that begin and they say Mizmor LeDavid. That's what we do. Some places that start Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat. Every place does according to its custom. After we finish the prayer of the evening prayer, on the first prayer of Rosh Hashanah, right? And this year will be, like we say, on Shabbat. After we finish the whole prayer, and people are going home, the custom is before you go home, before you leave the synagogue, everyone should say to his friend, Lashana Tova Tikasev V'Tichatem. A good year, you should be written and sealed. To a woman, women say to women, Shana Tova Tichtami V'Tichtami. You should be written and sealed. This we say on the first night of Rosh Hashanah. Custom. But in the daytime, you don't say it because you already were judged and written before midday. On the second night, some people say it, some people don't say it, according to the custom. As far as I remember, in Chabad, we don't say it the second night, only the first night. All right. In the meal that you eat on the first night of Rosh Hashanah, there's a very strange custom. And the custom is that we make simanim. We eat all sorts of weird fruits and vegetables that remind us that their names sound like other things. Their names sound like other things. And some people even have little, especially the Sephardic Jews, they have little sentences that they say along with it. For instance, take an example. The word for carrots in Hebrew is gezer. The word for a decree is gezerah. So we eat a piece of gezer and you say we should have a gezerah tova, a good decree. Okay, Chabad does not make a big deal out of these different things, even though we do, yes, take, in my house we do because my wife is Sephardic and she did it in her family and she thinks it's a really nice thing, which is not bad. So they call these all sorts of jokes people make also. They take a raisin and they take celery and they say, may it be your will, God, that we should have a raisin salary. We should get our salary when we get, it's a raise. It's just jokes. Some people eat in Israel, they have a fruit called kohlrabi. Some people say we should listen to the kohlrabi. We should listen to the voice of what the Rebbe says. Anyway, this is optional in Chabad. It's a nice thing to do. But we do this next thing. And that is, one second. Oh, there we go. Oh. Okay, in Chabad, we also take a fruit, an apple, and we dip it in honey. Tovlim prusa tamotzi bidvash. First of all, we dip motzi, our bread, in honey. Just one second. I want to get a book over here that has Chabad custom. Here we go. Oh. Both nights, we dip the fruit and honey. The second night also, we eat a new fruit in the beginning of a meal. So what do we do? In Chabad, we have an unusual custom. We dip. First of all, we wash for bread. You sit down and eat. And then you take an apple and you make a blessing on the apple. And you dip it in honey. And you say, may this year be a sweet year. Let me just find the custom. Here it goes. Here. Oh. All right. Excuse me 1 minute here. Yes. All right. Let me just say a few laws over here that aren't exactly written, and maybe we'll get to it. This year, we have to say Shalom Aleichem before we, in the nighttime, Kiddush, we say quietly, Shalom Aleichem, Eshet Chayil, Mizmor David, etc. Right? We say, the custom is in Chabad that we make Kiddush standing up. We lift up the cup more than 3 tfachim. When you start the Kiddush, you put your eyes on the candles. Okay, now this year, right, you have to hold the cup. It should be filled. Our custom is that you take the cup with your right hand, give it to your left hand, and then lift it up with your left hand and put it down into your hand that's holding, which will hold the cup on the right hand. A woman that makes Kiddush on her own, she should be careful not to make Shechianu when she makes Kiddush, because she already made Shechianu when she lit the candles. Women are lighting candles. They're supposed to say, lighting the candles, they're supposed to say Shechianu first. And the blessing that you make on the candles is Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam asher kitzanu b'mitzvosav, v'tzivanu lahad likner shel Yom HaZikaron. That's the blessing we make in Chabad. Shel Yom HaZikaron. And then the woman makes Shechianu. So a woman, if she's going to make Kiddush on her own, she has to be careful not to say Shechianu again when she says Kiddush, because she already said it when she lit the candles. The custom is that all of the meals of Rosh Hashanah, we dip the bread in honey, not in salt. Okay, after you make hamotzi. We take an apple, a sweet apple, dip it into honey, make a blessing, Borei Pruya Eitz, and then the custom in Chabad is that we say a Yehi Ratzon before we eat it. And it's not considered to be an interruption. The Rebbe explains why. We say, Yehi Ratzon Milfanecha, Shetechadesh Aleinu, that you should renew for us, Shana Tova Matuka, a good, sweet year. And you make the blessing on the apple, even if you're going to eat in the beginning of the meal, you're going to eat all these different types of fruits and things like that. So we make a Borei Pruya Eitz. You take that, first of all, you wash your hands, you dip the bread in honey, you make hamotzi and you eat it. Then you take an apple, you dip it into honey, you make Borei Pruya Eitz, and you say this little prayer, may it be your will. You don't say God's name, that we should have a good, sweet year. Shetechadesh aleinu shana tova umatuka. Should be renewed for us a good, sweet year. Then you eat the apple. Okay, next. We in Chabad, I'm reading from a book which is called Shvach HaMoadim. I looked it up and I couldn't find a way to bring it down, so we'll use the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch as our guide. Our custom is that we eat a pomegranate, at least a little bit, as a sign that we should have a lot of merits, like a pomegranate has seeds. Some people eat the head of a ram, I've never seen it done, or the head of a fish, or the head of something else that shows that you're for a head and not a tail. You should also eat fish in general in this meal in the night of Rosh Hashanah. And some people say you should eat, like I said, carrots to show that you should have a good decree for the year. Any things that have a nice name that you can, like I said before, but our custom is we don't say Yehi Ratzon, may it be your will, Hashem, for all these other things. Sephardim do, a lot of other Jews do, good Jews do. If you want to do it, you can do it, but it is not the custom of Chabad to say Yehi Ratzon, even though we eat all these other nice fruits in the beginning of the meal. It's a good thing not to eat bitter things, and it's also a custom not to eat nuts on Rosh Hashanah, because nuts, first of all, it's the gematria of sin. It says agoz, chet, and also because it says that they increase saliva or something like that on Rosh Hashanah. And that finishes today's class.